What is the most bullshit reason for a teacher to give you a bad grade? I broke my right arm in 3rd grade. I write with my right hand. The teacher gave me a bad grade because my handwriting with my left hand was barely legible. This would be in a paper from some other students, but you can do better. I got a C, and no other feedback on how to improve. She gave me a 0 because she didn't think I read the book. She said I would have gotten a 75% if she thought I read it. 75% of the test questions right supposedly means I didn't actually do the reading. Still one of those things that pisses me off even 10 years later. A spelling test. Not graded by the teacher, but by the kid next to us. Kid named Anthony decided all my words that had letters U and E were switched and marked pretty much every word wrong. They weren't. Like, this was probably in 3rd grade, so my handwriting was chicken scratch. But that was really stupid to me. I was upset, since it was the first time I failed something in school. In high school, I used the word lascivious to describe a character in a book, and my teacher didn't know what the word meant, so logically, he took off a point. Didn't happen to me, but a teacher kinda gave everyone in a class bad grades because they ditched her. They all planned to hang out after the last class. Guess she was bitter about it. I lost 2 points out of 10 on an assignment because a full mark means perfection and only God is perfect, and -1 point is only for instructors and professors. Each point mattered at the time because a full scholarship was on the line depending on our grades through the semester. I had a bitchy religion professor back in junior high school. She lowered the grade of another student because they had written in the exam that when Moses got the 10 Commandments there was lightning when the correct answer was thunderbolts. For the final submission of my graphic design college qualification, the brief was to design branding for a pub club. I got a B, because my concept was too cool. The sheer mind-fucking bullshit of that actually knocked me so hard that I didn't even bother pursuing it as a career beyond the course. Because all tasks had room for interpretation, multiple answers and opinion, but my teacher only accepted his own exact opinion, interpretation and choice. Edit. I just remembered I had a teacher who gave me a D because he lost one of 2 papers I gave in for my math exam. Because my piñata looked like her. I did not expect this level of bullshit in these comments. What the hell is wrong with the education system? My paper didn't make her feel happy. It was an analytical writing course designed to teach how to write a thesis. The teacher was one of these super hippie artsy people, and most of the curriculum involved just reading articles she failed to get published. So we had to do this analytical discourse on someone's work, and it was trash. So I picked it apart. I got a F. I went to her saying, WTF. I followed the rubric to the T. Her response, oh well, the paper was good and all, but it didn't make me happy. It was kind of mean, and I don't like mean. I was like, the assignment was to find flaws in the paper. It had countless. She replied, yes, but it didn't make me happy. You get a F. I went to the chair, and it turns out her father was on the board of directors and she had sued the school several times. So she was bulletproof and got to do whatever the hell she wanted. 4th grade. The day before Thanksgiving break. There was no work to be done, of course. So we had a busy work art assignment. We were all handed graph paper and told to color each of the squares either yellow, orange, red, or brown. And once we finished, we were supposed to cut out corn shapes to make Indian corn decorations. I already thought this was stupid, and filling in all the squares was tedious. So I traced the corn shape on the graph paper and only filled in the squares that would end up as part of the final product. This meant my decorations looked the same as all the others. But I didn't waste time filling in squares that would just get cut away. When the teacher saw what I had done, she gave me a 50 for skipping work. In the 90s, my family didn't have a computer and I had no access to one. I spent a lot of time on a handwritten assignment for school and the teacher gave me a B. Writing as a comment. I would have given you an A if you had typed it up on a computer. I'm still bitter. Because little boys don't work hard enough to get an A. Despite the homework, classwork, and exams being straight A's. I was 8. I never tried again, and coasted from then through graduation 10 years later. I didn't like a movie that was supposed to be her favorite. She would do stuff like this all the time to other students as well. Complaints were made, but I graduated before I saw where it'd lead. I already posted here, but I have another story. Had a high school French teacher who failed me on a written test for using pencil. He claimed his eyes only saw pen. My family was outraged and called the dean. The dean was like, "Oh well, he's getting them ready for standardized tests." My entire family had master's degrees plus and were like, "What standardized test is in pen? It's always pencil. This is a school." Years later, I have my doctorate and not one goddamn test ever was pen only, standardized or otherwise. This was back in primary school, but my teacher gave me a bad grade for not asking enough questions during class. Not me, but a classmate. So we had this annoying dick of a teacher that acted like he hated his job and would always be in a bad mood and be cocky towards us students. Such a cunt of a guy. Anyways, my friend was doing an oral presentation and another student from a different class knocked on our classroom door and opened it to ask the teacher for something. I don't remember. The teacher gave my friend a 0 because of that one kid who came in our class. What a prick of a teacher. TL. Dr. Friend got a 0 from teacher because someone walked in the classroom while he was presenting. Handwriting. Often when the teacher refuses to let me type it. My Italian teacher taking off full credit for a while questioned because one word was spelled incorrectly. A friend of mine got a -1 for scratching his head. Our teacher said he was faking it. My teacher lost my coursework on the bus home. I refused to redo a year's worth of work in 3 weeks and I got taken from an A to AC. Bullshit. School sided with him this year. Wrote in Chicago format and lost points. The assignment instruction said to write in Chicago format. Because I got pregnant in high school, I took my exam with my friend's exam to her and showed her that my answers marked incorrect were the same answers my friend gave that were correct. Yet I got AC. Teacher said I didn't deserve an A. Got our philosophy papers back at midterms to find out everyone had been given mainly D's and C's, with some F's sprinkled in with a handful of B's floating around but no more than 5. When we were audibly upset and asked what happened, we were told the rubric each week was based on C work, and we were supposed to go above and beyond the rubric to get A, B, or an A. Got points off because of the bad grammar in the quote I used. The quote was Oppenheimer's, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." Actually answering a question instead of regurgitating a stupid rule word for word. This was 9th grade bio and had me triggered as hell. The question asked something to the effect of explain this table, and had table showing a plant that was weighed after it was watered and a short period of time after that, and I knew it was a conservative of matter question, but what I noticed was that the weight of the plant right after it was water was more than the weight that was taken later. So I answered that the weight changed because some of the water evaporated, but the teacher wanted. The rule of conservation of matter states matter cannot be created or destroyed, which makes no sense because the rule doesn't explain the table. The question wasn't, what is conservative of matter? My answer actually used the rule because even though I didn't regurgitate it word for word, I explained why the weight would be different. As per the table, even though matter cannot be created or destroyed. TLDR. I answered the question correctly, but because I didn't regurgitate the rule of conservation of matter, it was marked wrong. I was taking a one-week online class. In the syllabus, the teacher said you must post 6 times throughout the week. So, I posted 6x on Monday, 1x on Wednesday, and felt I was good to go. I get my grade, teacher comments, and the teacher wrote *Kayano 905. You had some good posts early in the week, but then you stopped posting. So I had to mark you down *. I was annoyed by this, but then realized it was the last online course in the program, and frankly I didn't care. I still graduated, and that certificate is proudly sitting in my junk drawer for all to see. I was accused of plagiarism because I had an above-average vocabulary. I got a grade in the end, but I was ticked. It was a group project where nobody did anything. I had to do the whole thing and turn it into a teacher who usually works with the special needs kids. She didn't think preemptive strike was a term an 8th grader should know, so obviously it was plagiarized. They overheard you saying press F to pay respect. When I was in college, I used to miss classes every now and then. And that kind of pissed off my professor. She told me that she was going to give me a fail grade. And was like, yeah sure lol. Me. Surprised Pikachu. Well, she did fail me. She didn't like me. My marks in her class were terrible, but when given assignments to be graded by other teachers, I'd get high 90s. This raises red flags with administration and was potentially one of the many reasons why she didn't last very long as a teacher. Also, my grades were reconsidered and adjusted to match my standardized testing scores instead of my overall assignment grades from her class. Taking off 1 point on a written portion of a test since I didn't capitalize English once in my paragraph. It wasn't even graded on grammar, so WTF. We were boys. The female teacher hated boys. Everyone hates her. Once I changed wallpaper to Keanu Reeves, and I got F+. My parents were called. Change of wallpaper wasn't forbidden in school, but teacher didn't like him and told that films in which he plays are violent and make young people violent these days. Even my parents, who are really intelligent, told that this is bullshit. I failed a lit exam in college because I answered a question too well. We were supposed to write an essay comparing and contrasting one of the books that we read that semester to a modern concept or ideal. We had known about this particular question for weeks, so we had had plenty of time to prepare. Apparently it's possible to be too correct, because the response I got was that, though it is clear I did not plagiarize, none of my thoughts were original and matched too closely with the author's interpretation of the work. I was the only person in the class not only fail but to get less than AB. I got no other bad marks on the rest of the exam either. He failed me based on just that one part. Me. Ms. XXX. You didn't give me a point for this, but it is on the mark scheme. Ms. XXX. I don't agree with the mark scheme, so I didn't give you the mark. And #X200B. For context, this is a standardized test, which is why there is a mark scheme.